Alrighty, folks. Hope everyone's doing well. James Cards FC here. This was supposed to be the live Fireside chat for the month of March of 2023, but when I tried to go live, my computer decided to pretty much explode because I'm still sitting on my old laptop from college and unfortunately spending way too much money on sports cards instead of upgrading my computer setup, so it was not able to handle the live stream that I was trying to run. So that will leave us with the next video being the live Q&A. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that, so if you have any Q&A questions that you wanted to ask during the live, put them in the comment section of this video and I will get to them at the conclusion of today's video, and that will be the next video on the channel, will be the Q&A that I would have had live, and I'll go ahead and do it in the video upcoming after this one. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the Fireside chat for the month of March 2023. Unfortunately, I think I covered most of the topics I wanted to cover during the few videos that I did end up putting out in March, but I guess there's a few things that I still wanted to talk about more in a live setting than just here by myself, but I'll go ahead and discuss them by myself here anyways, and then of course if anybody has questions, I'll go ahead and answer those in the comments in a later video. But the first subject that I want to talk about was the new 2022/2023 Premier League Prizm release that just happened this past week. This is one of the biggest products of the year, at least for Panini and for the Premier League. The biggest product of the year is probably either Topps Chrome Champions League or Topps Chrome Sapphire for Champions League, just because it includes more leagues than just the Premier League, and you have a lot more rookies than the Premier League set would have. But at least at this point in the season, this is probably the most important product that has come out so far. So I wanted to go ahead and do a brief dive into the checklist. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. I'm using Cardboard Connection, super easy website, to go ahead and look through the checklist. Personally, I don't think there's a lot here that's all that interesting. A problem with these base cards are that the centering on these is just awful on them. You won't always notice on the front of the cards where you can see the centering is really easy to tell because of this outline shape it makes. So obviously if there's more silver space on this side and less silver space on this side, it is off center. However, when you flip it over the back, it becomes even more obvious where it has this same silhouette. But when I've looked at the back of a bunch of cards, they're heavily shifted on one side or the other. So it'll be something like this red line, instead of ending here, will be ending like right over here, and it'll have pushed this over to this side. So that's what I would be looking for in terms of centering if you're trying to grade these cards. I think this is going to be a horrible set to grade. It's probably going to have a gem rate under 25% or something ridiculous just because of how bad the centering is. But yeah, so from that perspective, I don't really like it to grade. And the checklist itself, I don't think is that good. Obviously, the people that are hyping up the product are talking about this being Erling Haaland's first Man City Prizm card. I would completely ignore it unless you're doing some sort of a raw to grade quick flip thing that you're trying to do. I really don't think this card is that important for Haaland. Even if you want to play this first card with Man City narrative, the Champions League card's probably more important than the Prizm card. People don't really talk about first Prizms like they used to anymore. And in other sports, this is never a thing. Like the player's first season with a new team, even if it ends up being their best team, that's never a thing. It's always rookies. So unless soccer is going to be something completely different, and unless Prizm is the biggest thing over Chrome and over all these other sets, then maybe it could be something. But I'm not a fan of speculating on an ultramodern set plus a non-rookie plus all that other stuff I just mentioned. I would not be purchasing those cards unless you were trying to do some sort of a quick flip play. I don't think this is something you sit on and hope way out into the future this is an important card. If you're doing that with Haaland, I would just be focusing on the rookie stuff. But of course, I'm just a dumb American, so feel free to ignore that. Here are all the base Prizm parallels. There are way too many. If you were going for parallels, I would probably just be sticking to the true colors, which would be like just base blue, base red, gold, and that's probably it. Those are true colors because they have been in hobby products for a really long time. Super easy to understand. All this other crap like blue breakaway Prizm, green breakaway Prizm, pink mojo, purple mojo, all this other stuff I don't really like. It's too confusing. There's too many parallels. So I would personally just be sticking to the super obvious ones. Inserts, nobody cares about inserts, at least not non-case hit inserts, so don't care about those. I know people don't really like these new color blasts, so I don't know. I don't really have great feelings on inserts like that, so Not my thing, especially new ones, super speculative, not my thing. Autographs, you guys know my opinions on autographs. Sticker autographs, yuck, don't like that. First off the line, all the different formats, and then we'll get into the base set checklist, and I can go ahead and talk about what I wanted to talk about, which is the players in the checklist, and that's obviously the most important part of a product, is who is in the checklist. Okay, so what you're looking for really in a checklist like this, at least if you're trying to do some sort of a prospect play, is you're looking for guys that are on Premier League teams that are not in the Europa League or the Champions League, because then those players probably won't have any other rookie cards than these Prizm cards. When we talk about a guy like Garnacho, he's literally going to be in every single 2022/2023 set because Manchester United was in the Champions League, so he's going to be in all the Champions League products, and he's going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rookie cards. So I do not like Garnacho in this checklist. In fact, I don't like 99.9% of the players in this checklist. There are 2 or 3 that I kind of like, and we'll get to them when we get to them. But yeah, for the most part, I do not like this checklist, at least if you're looking at it in terms of I'm trying to find a prospect that I think could explode in the future. A lot of these guys are just going to have too many rookie cards. So I'll try and just focus on rookies. I already said my piece about Erling Haaland. I don't really like this card. And then when we talk about autographs from the set, Erling Haaland has a ton of autographs that are hitting the market, so that's not great for his auto market in general, but I don't like this Haaland card unless you're trying to do some sort of grading quick flip thing. But like I said before, I think the set's going to grade so bad that it doesn't even matter. Moving forward, what else do we have here? I'm just checking on my stream here. It says I am overloading my stream. Again, I need to update my computer, but in any event, going through the checklist, Julian Alvarez and Rico Lewis, I believe, are the 2 rookies for Manchester City. I like both these players, but I think they're going to have way too many cards, so we'll ignore them. Crystal Palace didn't have anybody interesting. Brentford, nobody interesting in my opinion. West Ham, nobody interesting. Fulham, you have a couple of United States men's national team guys that might sell okay. They're defenders, but United States men's national team always gets a nice little boost. So those guys are interesting, but not interested in Fulham. Unfortunately, Fulham, this would have been a great example. If Manor Solomon made the list for Fulham, he has no cards. He's on loan from Shakhtar right now, and he plays really, really well in the Premier League when he gets minutes. So he'd be a guy that I'd be interested in, probably more because I'm a Shakhtar fan than if it's like a prospect sort of play, but he didn't make the checklist, and he's probably not going to have any cards this year. That's the type of guy you're looking for in a checklist like this. Manchester United, the rookie is obviously Garnacho. I don't like it because he's going to have way too many cards, like I said. There's probably some money to be made in a raw to grade sort of thing where you're going to have the only Garnacho PSA graded slabs on the market for a while because Chrome's not going to come out for another like 6 months or something ridiculous. So from that perspective, I kind of like it, but going further into the future, he's just going to have way too many rookies in my opinion. So I'm going to be personally avoiding Garnacho. Leicester City, nobody interesting in my opinion. Chelsea, nobody interesting in my opinion. Unfortunately, this is one of those cases where when they put out the Prizm set, and then last year they did this, you could have guys that are on the Academy roster that could show up in this Prizm set, and they wouldn't be in any other set because they're just on the Academy roster. There's not a lot of those guys in this checklist, so anybody that's in the Chelsea Academy, for whatever reason, didn't make this checklist, and so nothing interesting, at least in my opinion, for Chelsea. Brighton, obviously you're looking for Mitoma, but he is not in the base checklist. He's in one of the insert checklists, which makes his cards more rare, but the fact he doesn't have a base one is probably going to turn some people off because people really like base cards and base parallels. So from that perspective, they held back how many rookie cards he's going to have in the longer run, but not having a base card is a big miss in my opinion. This is one of the guys I do like. I know almost nothing about him, Julio Enciso. He's a Brighton Youth Academy type guy. He's scored a few goals there, so he at least puts the ball in the net. He plays for a national team that nobody's ever going to care about. He plays for Paraguay, but at least he's a guy that has put the ball in the net in the Academy ranks, and he's young, and so maybe there's something there because he's going to have absolutely no cards besides this one. So I like him just from that perspective. I wouldn't go crazy buying his stuff, but he's the type of guy that you're sort of looking for in this, in my opinion. Caicedo's in Prizm, so he has too many rookie cards. Sarmiento, not all that interested in, but maybe. Nobody else from Brighton. Nottingham Forest. Just thinking real quick if I know any of these guys. I kind of like Brennan Johnson. Again, it's one of those guys that doesn't have any cards out there, so this will be one of his only rookie cards on the market. So if he ever ends up doing anything, these cards will be big for him. Then we'll scroll back up. And Arsenal, unfortunately, they didn't get any academy guys in here for Arsenal. Actually, sorry, they got one. They got Marquinhos. He's going to be in literally every single set because Arsenal... Actually, no. Arsenal is not in Champions League, but he will be in Merlin, and he'll be in this. So he'll have a decent amount of rookie cards, but this might be one of his only 4 or 5 sets as opposed to one of his 40 or 50 sets. So he has put the ball in the net a little bit in the academy. He's on loan currently at Norwich, and he has a goal and an assist in a few games. So he's somewhat interesting in my opinion. I would do some more research though. Newcastle, there was one guy that was interesting here. I think it was Elliot Anderson. He's a youth academy guy. Go ahead and look him up. He's, like I said, the type of guy that I would be looking for in a checklist like this, but don't go crazy. Liverpool, nobody interesting. I know people really like this guy. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's the Spanish midfielder. He plays a defensive midfield. I much prefer guys that put the ball in the net because they get headlines and they get highlights and people talk about them in a hobby. I don't think you talk about a guy like this, even though he is really young and he's a Liverpool Spanish player. So he has the team you want, the age you want, and the national team you want, but he does not have the position you want. So I personally don't like it. Carvalho, I like quite a bit, but he's going to be in literally every single set because he is Liverpool. Liverpool is in the Champions League, and he's going to be in every set. Bobby Clark, academy player, doesn't put the ball in the net. Would be interesting, but doesn't put the ball in the net. Southampton, they have a few interesting guys. Romeo Lavia, really good player, does not put the ball in the net. So if you're into guys that are really good but they don't put the ball in the net, that's an option. Sekou Mara, seems like a decent player, puts the ball in the net a little bit, but not enough for my liking. So he's another guy that if he did do something, this Prizm card is going to be big for him because Southampton's not in any other sets, but I don't think he's quite at the level that I'd be interested at. Bournemouth, nobody there interesting in my opinion. Everton, nope. Wolverhampton, nope. Leeds has a few Americans on it, but other than that, I don't think they're that interesting. Aston Villa, nope. Tottenham, and nope. Okay. So we went through the whole checklist, at least of the base cards. The only ones that are somewhat interesting to me are, where was it? It's Sekou Mara, Elliot Anderson, Marquinhos, and then the Paraguayan forward that's in the academy for Brighton. Those would be the only guys that interest me, but of course I probably missed over somebody important. But yeah, the most important point here is, like I said, you're looking for somebody that's not going to have a lot of other cards, and unfortunately the best guys in this checklist, like Garnacho, is going to be in literally every single set, so I don't really think these are that important for him. Autographs, inserts, more autographs, case hits, emergent. Is this the set that I'm trying to look for which insert set has the Matoma rookie? I don't think it's that one. It is Instant Impact. This is the one that has the Matoma. There it is. So his only Prizm parallels are orange, gold, blue shimmer, green, and black 101. That's awesome. So Matoma's rookies are very, very well protected in this set. Brighton's probably not going to be in any other sets throughout the year. So if you're looking for Matoma, all you're going to have most likely is Revolution that came out before this, and then these cards. If you want the base cards, go for Revolution parallels. If you want what the market probably wants, it's probably going to be these and the parallels of these. They'll probably go for crazy money because there's so few of them, but really cool that they actually protected him. I'm not sure if they meant to do it, but this is really going to keep his number of cards down. So that'll spell good for these Matoma cards, at least in my opinion. He does have earlier cards from Japan if you're interested in those. His rookies are from 2020, but he also has cards from 2021 and 2022. But most people will probably look at this as his best rookie, at least in my opinion. So that breaks down the Prizm checklist for me. Like I said, I don't really think it's that great. There's a few rookie guys that are interesting. I think the Holland first Man City Prizm card is completely overblown and I'd be avoiding it. I'm probably not going to be purchasing any of these cards to rot a grade because they're so poorly centered, and Prizm in general has really bad quality control, so I not too interested in this set for really any reason. I'll watch a few of the rookies that I mentioned previously just to see where their prices end up lining up. But yeah, this is an avoid on almost all accounts for me. But again, that's just my opinion. Alrighty, so let's go back to what we got here. Next section was the United States men's national team is back. I guess I could just say that international football is back. National team football is back, which is really cool. The U.S. men's national team is my favorite team to follow in probably all of sports right now. I just really love the team. I love the guys. Can't wait to see how they progress. And the big news with them, at least right now, is that Folarin Balogun might commit to the United States men's national team. He was called up by the United States men's national team, and he declined because he wanted to be called up by England. England did not call him up to their senior team. They called him up to the U21s again, and he accepted that call up initially, but then bailed out due to an injury, and he spent his injury time visiting Orlando, where the United States are currently training for their window right now, and he hung out with the team for a few days. So a lot of rumors and smoke that he's going to end up committing to the United States men's national team, and that would be huge for not just his market, but the United States men's national team, because he would probably come in and be either the best or the second best player on the team right now, and he'd be in the biggest position of need. The United States desperately needs a number 9, and Balogun has one of the better number 9s for at least young players in the world this season. So that would be a huge get for the United States men's national team, and obviously for his card market, that would be huge as well. Anybody that is announced to be the United States' next future striker gets a huge bump in their prices. We saw it with Pepe, we saw it with Malik Tillman, and now we're probably going to see it again with Folarin Balogun. I'm pretty sure his prices have already picked up. His blue Prizm out of 340 has gone from like $20 or $30 all the way up to anywhere between $60 and $90 over the past few weeks. So his stuff continues to move positively. First, it was because he was performing really well in League One. Now it's really shooting up because it looks like it's likely now that he'll become the United States starting number 9, and everything that comes with that could be huge for his market. So if you're interested in Balogun, again, I said this before and I'll say it again, it's probably not the best time to buy in because so much is going to get priced in on Balogun, but the FOMO is definitely going to be out there. I mean, heck, I'm probably going to FOMO into buying some Balogun if he does end up committing to the United States men's national team, but there is probably going to be a better point to buy in than right now during this super hyped window. Although I will say, Balogun is only in 3 sets for his rookie season. He's in Score, which a lot of people hate, so probably just ignore that one. He's in Revolution, that was, I think, only a Asia exclusive release, so there's not a lot of those cards, and people don't really like Revolution. And then he's in 2021 EPL Prizm. So really, he only has 1 rookie set, and so that could get really interesting in terms of what values people start placing on those cards in those parallels. So I'm going to keep an eye on those prices. I'm probably not going to be buying at this point because I think you're past the buying window on him, even if he does commit to the United States men's national team. I'm not sure how much higher his prices can go now that I think that's really getting priced in. So dangerous time in his market when all the attention in the market is on 1 guy or 2 guys. That's probably not the guy you want to be buying. And so Balogun, at least right now, seems to be that guy. I know I said it last month, and I'm going to end up saying it again this month, and maybe I'll say it again next month. I don't think now is the time to be buying Balogun or Victor Osimhen, but I could be completely wrong, and they could just keep going up in price forever. And then I would look silly. But yeah, that's what's going on with the United States men's national team. They looked really good in their first match against Grenada. They won 7-1, and it was not even a challenge for them. Christian Pulisic was by far the best player on the pitch, so always good to see that for him, especially when he struggles with injuries. But when he is healthy, he's a very, very impressive player. They're going to play tonight against El Salvador in Orlando. I cannot wait to go. The game's just a few hours away, 5 or 6 hours away from time of recording. I'll be there in the supporters section. Cannot wait to go see the United States men's national team. It'll be the first time that I've seen them since seeing them in Qatar, and I'm so excited for that. The only other international thing to note, I guess, would be that England is also playing in this window. They're probably the second most followed international team, and behind the United States, of course. And Bukayo Saka has been their best player, and he looks like an absolute star as he has all season. His cards are interesting because he has 2019 rookie sticker and a few 2019 really rare rookie cards. So most people like to say that his 2020 cards are also rookies. So like he has the Merlin in 2020, he's in EPL Prizm in 2020, he's in Mosaic Euro in 2020. So all that stuff is sort of rookie material for Bukayo Saka, and a lot of that stuff is still really cheap. At least if you think he's going to be a superstar for both England and one of the best players in the Premier League, like he has been this season for Arsenal, then I think he could be due for some nice price increases. Of course, people are probably going to start FOMOing, and those prices could go up pretty quickly, but at least right now, a lot of his cards, even those 2020 rookies, are pretty affordable. So I'm keeping an eye on those. I think I just recently this morning bought a Bukayo Saka Mosaic out of 88 or something like that. It was a small $20 card that I bought this morning. But yeah, I think his market is pretty interesting right now if he continues to blossom into England's best player and Arsenal's best player and arguably one of the best players in the Premier League. I think that bodes very, very well for his market. Then I was going to do a talk about grading strategy today, just to discuss what I've been thinking about grading recently. Like I've mentioned in a couple videos ago, PSA is at a really good spot right now, at least in my opinion. It is $19 for a 1-month turnaround for bulk grading, and that seems really nice because 1-month timeframes are really are way more predictable than 6-month time frames. So back in 2021 or 2020, if you sent something to PSA, you were going to get it back in 6 to 12 months. And so you were trying to project out, okay, if I buy this raw card, what do I think it's going to be worth in 6 or 12 months? It's a lot easier to buy a raw card and think to yourself, what do I think it's going to be worth in 1 month than it is to say, what do I think this is going to be worth next year? So from that perspective, I really, really like grading right now. The most important thing for grading, like I always say, is to run out the equation, which is that you need to be buying something where if it gets a PSA 9, you want to be breaking even or making a tiny bit of profit. And then if it gets a PSA 10, you want to be in a situation where you could really boost up your return on investment there. And that gets super interesting when you start looking at soccer. So I was randomly looking at baseball, and if you know anything about baseball, Bowman Chrome Prospect Autos are the cards in baseball. Like, everybody is hunting Bowman Chrome Prospect Autos. It'd be like if Prizm was the only set that there was for soccer card prospects. Bowman Chrome Prospect Autos are the cards for baseball prospects. And if you look at those raw, they sell for the same price as a PSA 9 or more than a PSA 9 because people are literally praying to get PSA 10s on those, and there's so many people grading those cards trying to get PSA 10 premiums that raws outsell PSA 9s. Whereas if you look at soccer, a lot of the times a raw card sells at a big discount from a PSA 9, or at least the cost of grading. So for example, if you buy a card for $20, usually in a PSA 9 it sells for around $35 or $40, and then in a PSA 10 it sells for $100 or $125 or something like that. So that if you then spend the $20 to get it graded by PSA, you're probably going to break even or so, and then if you get the PSA 10, you return a nice ROI. But if you do that in baseball, say the Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto is $100. In a PSA 9, it'll be $100. And then in a PSA 10, it'll be like $150 or $200. So the margins are so much slimmer in baseball because that market is so established that there's not a lot of ROI potential there, at least from what I've seen. Whereas when you compare that to soccer or you compare that to some other markets, the margin is still very, very good. So for that reason, I will continue to grade soccer. I think the margins are really good right now, as well as the fact that PSA's turnaround times are so fast. Of course, you need to know what you're doing in grading. If you don't, look up how to look at cards for grading and all that sort of stuff. There are people that do way better tips and tricks to it than I could do. But yeah, I think that's still a very viable strategy, at least while the turnarounds are 1 month. And as long as you're not trying to hit crazy home runs every time, like grading an unknown prospect's really expensive card and hoping that in the amount of time that you grade it, he also pops off and you try to hit a home run. No, I would just keep trying to make short incremental plays, messy numbered cards in general. Like, they do really well in terms of you buy it for $50, you grade it, it gets a PSA 9, it sells for like $75, it gets a PSA 10, it sells for $150 or $200. Those are pretty consistent, whereas if you try to buy one of these Garnacho rookies that comes out of Prizm, maybe it costs like $100 for one out of 199 or something like that, and then you grade it and it gets PSA 9 and you don't get your return back, or even in a PSA 10, it's not as big of a bonus as it used to be. I'm going on and on and on, but the point of I'm trying to get to with grading strategy is to run out that equation. You want something that in a PSA 9 breaks you even, and then a PSA 10 gets you a nice return, and at least for most soccer cards that people really want to buy, like Messi numbered cards, Mbappe numbered cards, stuff like that, those margins are still there and still pretty good. So I like Rodigrade right now. I probably always like Rodigrade just because it's something I'm super comfortable with in this market, but I still think it is a viable strategy, and it's definitely more viable than it has been in the past. I guess I'll give you a look behind the curtain. Not only am I Rodigrading soccer right now, I am obsessed right now with Rodigrading Japanese baseball cards. I think the margins there look really good. So if you took the time to listen through this part of the video, that is what I'm currently grading. I'm grading soccer cards and I'm grading Japanese baseball cards, and those are my two favorite things to grade right now. So that is a lot of fun, at least in my opinion. And that might end up doing it for today's video, because next would be the live Q&A that I had planned, but unfortunately, like I said previously, my computer is being way too slow. I should probably invest in a better one instead of buying more soccer and Japanese baseball cards, but that's just what I do. So, like I said before, that will go ahead and conclude the Fireside chat for the month of March 2023. I apologize, the live stream did not go as according to plan, and this video was sort of just thrown together at the last minute. But if you do have questions that you were going to ask during the stream, or you have any questions you want me to answer, there will be a live Q&A. Put all your questions either in the comment section of this video or shoot them to me on my Instagram, or yeah, that'll work. Just shoot them to me on my DMs on Instagram, or go ahead and use the chat function down below, and I'll give it a day or two, and then I'll go ahead and start recording a big Q&A video, and we'll go through however many topics we end up having to go through for what was going to be answered during this Fireside chat. So, alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching. Apologies for the technical difficulties, and I will see you guys in the Q&A video.